Day after day, I just feel this weight of this evil, is how I describe it. I just feel it everywhere. I feel it, in my family. I feel it in my communities. It's just this terrible, terrible sense of evil. And it's just, oh my gosh. It kind of destroys me inside. It kind of destroys me. And when this evil when I'm aware of it, when I'm aware that it exists, whatever you want to describe it as, Christians describe it as Satan, other people describe it as mental illness, and other people describe it as suffering, but whatever you describe it as, it's there, and when I think about it, I just think about how terrible it is, and then, there's even times where it's just, the thought of just leaving life, just boycotting life, it just gracefully slips in to my mind. It's just, oh, of course. That's an option, right? Just boycott life. And I believe that there are multiple ways to just withdraw from life and just boycott life. And so it could be any number of those ways that you could leave life. And it's just wow, this suffering. I remember a time when there wasn't even a question to be asked about life. There was just a time when we were kids, when there was just, you didn't really question things in the way that you do now. You're just oh wow, that's insane. That's a lot of sensory information that is being delivered to me. That's awesome. See, that's how you're thinking as a kid. You're wow, look at that piece of grass. That is sick, yo. Yeah. But there wasn't always a question to be asked. But then you think about whatever this force of evil is, this thing that makes your family suffer and makes you suffer and makes just everything feel gray and filthy and terrible. You're just dude, that was destined to find me even when I was 5. What? So at one point I was 4 years old, and at that point, I there were creepy things in the world. I was well, why would that happen? Ow, that hurts. But I was just okay, it hurts. So what? I hit my knee or whatever. It's just small things. Or I heard a ghost story. And I'm just it didn't register as a concern when I was 5 fucking years old. And now here I am. I remember sometime in my teenage years, I started to learn about ways. Oh my goodness! And so, okay, I have to give a trigger warning. So this is what really helped me discover that there was a question to be asked about life, that there was evil. It was when I was in my teen years, about 15 or 16, and I discovered, and I have to be careful with my wording here because just the wording alone, see, this is the problem. This is another problem. So I'm running into problems. I started talking and I just keep running into these problems. It all comes at once as soon as I start talking. So I discovered child exploitation. I discovered how predators can get away with it, essentially. And how they do it. I discovered one form of exploitation, and so I'm using vague language there because I don't want to get into it. But I want to share my story that is such a problem. That is part of the evil, in fact. The fact that I can't share my story. Because when your story is so violent and so terrible, and it has such filth, that even the words of the story will just it'll trigger someone. That's why we have trigger warnings to respect people. It's because my story is full of trigger warnings. But the problem with that is that everybody else who I have talked to, everybody else whose story I have learned about, has even bigger trigger warnings. By the way, the spiders, I'm just looking at some spiders right now. They're just... Can you not, bro? Like, okay. Yeah, the spiders came out. Classic, right? Classic distractions from the YouTube video. And so sometimes I can't even share my story, this fundamental story that tells you about me and who I am and what I care about. Sometimes I can't even tell that to certain people. And that alone is extraordinarily heartbreaking. But, I mean, there's so much heartbreak to go around in this world. There's no shortage of heartbreak, unfortunately. So, because of that, because there's no shortage of, like, actual, absolute filth and tragedy in the world, I have decided to just really try to double down on being a good person. Dude. It's so cliche. Everything is so cliche. I mean, all this art, everything, like even the story of like Jesus and everything, like a lot of these things that we hear in life are just kind of cliche. Like, you know, be a good person, try your best. But it's true. That's probably why it's reiterated so many times, and that's why it's cliche. It's because it's probably true. Just all these stories. And I love stories. Everybody does. Everybody has art. Everybody has art that has saved their lives. And so, by the way, if you're a new viewer, I usually ask people to share the art that has saved their lives, even if it's your own art that you've made. So share it in the comments. Or share it to me directly through the contact information in the description. Either or. But yeah, let me regain my thought really quick. But yeah, I've decided to double down on being a good person. But what that means for me is living a life that is not like grounded in money or consumerism. So I don't actually want to have a super big economic footprint. I don't want to have millions and millions of dollars and millions of things. Actually, not everyone is materialistic, as we like to think. Like, not everyone really is chasing like millions and millions of dollars. Some people are, but at the end of the day, like, what I've observed is that people just want to feed their families and like get through the day and stuff. But for me, I have to leave. I have to leave this dark valley of despair, pretty much, that is society. There's so much good in society, and if it's right for you, it's right for you. But when I see a big old, like, industrial machine just, like, ripping apart the earth, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, that's what I tell myself. Like, it's fine. It makes sense that human productivity would lead us to this point where it's just, you know, you don't trust the earth enough to just go live in it and just forage the land. You don't trust the earth enough because the earth causes suffering. You know, it's cold, so we build houses. It's hot, so we make clothes. Or no, hold on. No. So the earth, it's sometimes it's too hot, so we make air conditioning, right? It's just, so it makes sense. But for me, if I hear somebody who's like, hey, I discovered that chocolate has an industry of child labor, and in some cases, apparently there was forced child labor in this country. But that's in the supply chain of chocolate. And I love chocolate. Look at me, bro. I love chocolate. So I have to make the choice to not have chocolate anymore. No, dude. That's exactly the problem. It's like, take the best thing that you love. Take the best thing that really, like, it and in some cases makes life worth living and, like, actually worth dealing with. Take your thing, man. Most people have like a collection of things that they really like. Some people even have, like, a lot of people have, like, addictions. Like, let's be honest, like, tons of people have, like, at least a few addictions. So take, like, I don't know, whether it be your addictions or your things or your just, and then imagine somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, I have research to suggest that, like, the supply chain behind the creation of a smartphone is, like, it's bad. Like, you have to rip apart the earth. It takes up a lot of space. The industrial, like, digging operation, the excavators, to get the materials for the smartphone. Like, it's just... So everything in life comes with a trade-off. That's what being an adult is. It's recognizing consequences and accepting them. That is what being an adult is. Unless it's something else, in which case tell me. But that's what I'm thinking it is. So I mean, I'm 21, so I have to decide what being an adult is based on what I've seen in the world. So if that's wrong, let me know. But but for me, like, I have to leave this. I have to leave this deep, dark valley. And so I'm really scared to have to, like, not listen to music anymore because, you shouldn't get a phone because of the, I don't know, like, it could be for any reason, any ethical reason. So just pick your ethical reasons, and then that is what I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I fucking admire the people who just can live their day-to-day lives, watch their smartphones, put plastic cups in the dishwasher, and these are the small things, right? But I just admire people who can do that without any, like, stress, like, any stress whatsoever. But they're stressed about different things, and oh my gosh, it's just, as soon as I start talking, as soon as I start telling you about all these things in the world, it just all hits me. Do you see this? Everything is a problem, and we haven't even gotten past the first layer of problems. This is like the low-level problems right here that we're talking about. This is just like microplastics and industrial supply chains and, like, light pollution, right? And by the way, light pollution, if you don't believe it's a problem, if you don't believe that light pollution is a problem, then you have spent exactly 0 minutes and 0 seconds learning about it. Because all a human being has to do is turn on a light, and then that puts photons into the atmosphere, which blocks our view of not only the stars, but the Milky Way. So if you've ever seen a photograph of the Milky Way, I know you have, right? It's that big, beautiful thing that looks like a crack in the sky. And it looks like magical, beautiful magic. That is actually visible from Earth. And chances are you have seen that. But you haven't seen it in its full visible beauty. You've only seen it basically as a cloud. So in our modern world, if you are able to see the Milky Way, you can only see it, and it looks like a cloud. But I've heard that you can actually see some color to it if you go to the truly non-polluted parts of our Earth. So it's like a quest. So I don't want to support industries who turn on their lights and they don't even put caps over their lights to direct the light downward so it's not just going into the atmosphere. So I'm on this journey now of making things better. And it is so incredibly stressful to not have people in your life who understand these problems. But again, I admire the people who can just drive a car and just, like, have the lights on their car, which is temporary light pollution, and then emit whatever, like, I don't know, carbon from their car, which is another form of pollution, and then risk hitting somebody with their car, ruining a life. All it takes is 2 seconds to ruin a life with a car. So I admire people who can just drive a car. That is amazing to me. That is the privilege that I recognize in life. It's the ability to just morally be okay with driving a fucking car. So I want to connect with somebody who's like me. because I know for a fucking fact that there's somebody out there who resonates with these words right now. I just have to try to find them. And so again, the point on this channel is to try. It's to yap, and it's to try to find people who are like-minded. And it's to try to share hope with those like-minded people. And possibly even share hope and these ideas, try to share these ideas with people who aren't like-minded, but who want to listen. Like, dude, like, I admire you because you can drive a car. I can't, bro. I can't. I mean, I've driven a car before, but I fucking stopped. Because under no circumstances did I want to risk hitting a toddler. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine hitting a toddler with your car? Even if all your car does is just gently bump into a toddler. I would you know what? I would probably cut my arms open and I would bleed to death. If I hit, yeah, you know what? At some point you have to be honest. So I think if I drove a car and then I was able to somehow lose control of it or whatever, and then I hit a toddler, I would just go into a room somewhere and I would just stab myself with something really, really sharp until just all the blood left my body and I would just die. To be honest, that's what I would probably do. So I admire you. Again, I admire you. But I don't want this to be like an insane video where I'm just like, oh, I'll kill myself if you crash into it. But it's just, these things drive me insane. And so I want to tell you that there are people like me who are heavily affected by the modern world, essentially. And so this deep anxiety that I have, I like to believe that it really began after I stopped being a child and after I discovered that, like, I talked about this earlier in the video, like, I discovered, like, a form of child exploitation. And we're all familiar with child exploitation to some degree, but I discovered my form that just showed me how bad the world is, pretty much. And ever since then, I've just been like, okay, I need to do everything to fix this. I need to do everything I possibly can to fix this. Because I cannot stomach a world where child exploitation exists. And so if there's child labor in the supply chain of the chocolate, if there's a risk of hitting a child with a car, I'm done with it. I'm leaving. And so all the art that I enjoy, all the songs, all the movies that I like, they all tell the same story. They all tell the story of get up, and I'm summarizing all the art that I enjoy here to try to give you a piece of information that is actually understandable. But so it says, all the art, it says, get up out of this dark valley of, like, despair. Recognize that there's a question to be asked. There's a question about this world. This world is really questionable. And then make a sacrifice. Make a big sacrifice to change your life so that you are not contributing any bad to this world. I do not want to contribute one single speck of evil or bad to this world, because there's already plenty. There's plenty of evil and bad. I don't need to contribute anymore. And so if it means living in the wilderness, with community, of course, then I'll do that. But honestly, that's the fun part of it. The fun part of the whole process of changing your life to be a better human being, the fun part is it's living in a fun, like, community where, like, people cook for each other and, like, we grow food. Those exist, by the way. If you think that it's a perfect little magical place, then of course you're mistaken. But it's hard work, but the point is to choose what you want to work hard on in life. You're not going to avoid hard work and like sadness and misery, but you do get to kind of choose what misery you get to deal with. So enjoy that. But no, I don't think I'm insane. I just think that I'm really passionate about making change in the world. So I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change my level of passion. If I do change, then it'll just be more passion for caring about the world. But so if you resonate with these words, that's all I really wanted. If you somehow understand these words, then that's a miracle. And then that means that there's hope for me. So I think I've done my job here with this video. I don't quite know what I'll title it yet, but honestly, you've listened to me, and there have been people who have listened to me, and I am so thankful for that. Because with every video, with every thing that I do to just try to make things better, I feel like I'm getting a little bit closer. And at some point I will live a almost completely low impact life where I'm just like not impact like societal impact, but like footprint, like eco footprint, you know what I mean? So like being sustainable, less litter. So at some point I will live like that, and I will not be consuming and contributing to things that are exploitative, systems, companies, governments. So I'm going to leave the valley of like darkness. And one of my favorite pieces of art says, there's a wind that is alive in the valley that I talked about. And it will fill your lungs if you'll have it. I really like that. But again, share me what art you like. I'll read it. And I'll probably even reread it. It takes effort, and it isn't always easy for me to be vulnerable like this, because I just know that there's somebody out there. So in addition to the people who I'm trying to reach, there's somebody out there who would just love to bully me and push me over the edge. And of course, a vulnerable video might attract them, which is the really fun part about all this. It's just like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make another vulnerable video. And will I attract the person I'm trying to attract, which is an empathetic person who cares about the fucking problems in our world? Or will I attract the person who just really, really will put in a little bit of effort to push me over the edge? It could be both, but so far it's just been the like-minded people. But, I've dealt with the bullies before. And I've even participated in the bullying before, so I deserve it. If it happens, right? If it happens, I deserve it. You could think of it as karma, you could think of it as justice or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, I'm more confident than I used to be, and I have begun to ask questions about the world that we live in. So I'm doing my part, and I've decided to stay alive, right? I've decided to not, like, leave life entirely, because there's a couple people whose lives have improved by me being in them. So I'm making the impact. It's already happening. Let's go, baby. It's already happening. Like, I'm already making the change that I want to see. And so I do work every day. Like, I do have a job. It's not a money job right now because I don't want to have that economic footprint. I don't want everything to be about money, But as I keep figuring out this life and this hopeful version of life, And as I keep leading by example, like, you're gonna see. And hopefully you've already seen. I mean, even just small things like how I'm camping right now. Like, you'll see, like, so much more can be done with life. And life is so much better. Like, it's so good. Life is actually great. And it's worth protecting. And so that's why I'm putting my energy into protecting it. So I'm restructuring my entire life here to not be like a mindless consumer. Dude, it's gonna happen. Like we're looking at a revolution here. We're looking at like some kind of revolution. It's gonna be sick. And so I invite you to participate in the revolution is all. Like, hear people's stories, consume beautiful, beautiful art, buy things secondhand, buy things used. That's a simple step. There's enough abundance in this world that everybody can have what they need already, I believe, right? So just buy things secondhand if you can. Like, make sacrifices too. If you're a person who has taken on the role of protector, who you feel a conviction to be a protector, then be a protector. Make sacrifices. It's up to you and me, who are probably protectors, to protect. Because obviously there's people more vulnerable than us, so we have to do some protecting. But dude, we're on a journey here, and it's gonna be a revolution. So all I ask is that you just participate in the revolution. Like, you don't have to subscribe, you don't have to like or anything. That does like boost the video and everything, but like, at the end of the day, like, I try to use keywords in my video description and tags to attract the people who I want to find. So yeah, dude, let's just start the revolution. Like, I don't have anything else to say. Like, we were born in the valley of the dead and the wicked, and now it is time to leave. Very simple. When you stopped being a child, you began asking these hard questions. And so there's a wind. There's something beautiful in this valley that when the sun rises and like when you're just like, oh my God, the world is so beautiful right now. I don't know what it is. It's the clouds, like whether you like pink clouds or golden clouds or big clouds or storm clouds, like everybody has something that they love that's beautiful in the world. And everybody has somebody that they love too. Whether it's their mom or their partner or their community. Like, just, this is it, dude. Like, and then if you're like me, you're gonna feel the force of that evil that tries to destroy it all, and you're just gonna be like, no, like, I'm good, thanks, I'm good. Like, I would rather sleep in the freezing cold than contribute to this. Like, no, I'm good. I have nothing else to say. That's it. I've exhausted my words. If you understand me, it's a miracle. If you want to like do me a favor, like leave a comment saying like, yo, I understood your words. Because when I'm talking, like, it's a gamble for me. Like, I'm not actually sure how well these words are being understood. I do have evidence to suggest that my words are being understood from a couple videos back. Like, there's been a couple people who are like expressing that they do understand my words, but as you can see, like, I'm tripping over the words here. I mean, I'm tripping over the words, so like I can see how they might be misconstrued or like misunderstood, or. But just I don't know, if you want to do me a favor, I guess, like, possibly leave a comment and be like, hey yo, I understand you, like, and if you empathize with me or whatever, like, say so as well, like. But dude, half an hour video, let's go. Like, this is great, dude. This is what I'm trying to do. This is great. All right. Okay. Let's leave the valley. Let's leave the valley of the dead and the wicked. Let's do it.